Hi there and welcome to another video from Hegarty Maths. It's Mr. Hegarty here, and in this video we're finding percentages of amounts. It's our third video on that, and this time we're going to use decimals and no calculator to do this. So to start where we were previously, Hegarty Maths, you would have learnt how to find 15% of 600. So pause the video and check you can do that. So you should have got the following: £90 by finding 10% and finding 5% and adding them together. But I did say at the end of the last video there's a way of using decimals to do this. So 15% is the same as 15 out of 100, or 15 divided by 100, which is 0.15. And we could have worked this out by doing 0.15 multiplied by 600. Now, if you want to work that out in your head without a calculator, I do the related calculation 15 multiplied by 6. Now 15 multiplied by 6 is 10 sixes add 5 sixes. 10 sixes are 60, 5 sixes are 30, they would therefore be 90. Now we want to know 0.15 multiplied by 600. Well, if you know 15 multiplied by 6 is 90, directly underneath it we can work out 0.15 multiplied by 6. Now 0.15 is 100 times smaller. I've divided 15 by 100, so I must divide my answer by 100, so move the decimal point 2 spaces, you get 0.90. But actually we wanted 0.15 times 600, so 0.15 multiplied by 600. I'm multiplying the 6 by 100, so I'm multiplying overall my answer by 100, so the decimal place moves back actually and gives us exactly 90 back. So that is how you would get £90 using the decimal method. Now that might be harder than that, that's fine, but in this video it's really good for us to practice multiplying our decimals by numbers. It's just a great skill to have. But secondly, I just want you really good at converting a percentage to a decimal, because when these numbers here are 16.83% and this number is a really hard number, we're going to be allowed to use our calculators, and we want to actually just type in a decimal multiplied by a number to get our answers. Okay, so let's try some questions. 23% of 600. I want you to use decimals here. This is the same thing as 0.23 multiplied by 600. So I'm going to go over here and I'm going to do the related calculation 23 multiplied by 6. Now 23 multiplied by 6, I do that by saying that's 20 multiplied by 6, add 3 multiplied by 6, which will be 120 add 18, which will be 138. So I can use this to answer this question here. If I know 23 multiplied by 6 is 138, I know that 0.23 multiplied by 6, I've made the 23 100 times smaller, so my answer is 100 times smaller, be 1.38. And now I need to actually make the 6 600, so 0.23 multiplied by 600. Well, I've made the 6 100 times bigger, so I'm going to make my overall answer here again 100 times bigger, which would actually bring it back to 138. So the answer to this is actually £138. Right, let's try another one. 13% of 320 kilograms. Try and do this using decimals and without a calculator. Okay, this is equivalent to 13 out of 100, or 0.13 multiplied by 320. I'm going to go over here and do the easier calculation, which is 13 multiplied by 32. Now how am I going to do that? Well, how I'm going to do it is I'm going to say that's like 10 lots of 32 plus 3 lots of 32. Now 10 lots of 32, that's dead easy, that's 320. And 3 lots of 32, well, 3 lots of 32 must be 96. So add those together to get 96. And 320 add 96 is going to be equal to 416. Right, so what have we got as our fact? We've got that 13 multiplied by 32 is 416, right? So 0.13 multiplied by 32 is 100 times smaller. Divide this by 100, 4.16. And 0.13 multiplied by, now we want 320, so we just need to make the 32 10 times bigger. So times that by 10, it will make our answer bigger by 10, 41.6. So go up here and we can say our answer is therefore equal to 41.6 kilograms. And there you go, a complicated percentages problem we've done all in our without a calculator and using decimals. Okay, Right, let's try another one. 98% of 50 millimeters. So let's have a go at that one. That's equivalent to 0.98 as a decimal multiplied by 50. So I'm going to go over here and do 98 multiplied by 5 instead of 98 multiplied by 50. The easier related calculation, just picking these digits here. So what I'm going to do with that, I'm actually going to use the distributive law again and say that's 100 fives take away 2 fives, isn't it? 98 fives is 100 fives take away 2 fives. And 100 fives is 500, 2 fives is equal to 10, so 500 take away 10 is going to equal 490. So that was quite neat, wasn't it? So let's write that fact down that we know. The fact that we know down is that 98 multiplied by 5 is equal to 490. Okay, and therefore we want 0.98 multiplied by 50. 0.98 multiplied by 5 is 100 times smaller, so this will be 4.90. And we want 0.98 actually times 50, so 0.98 multiplied by 50, the 5 is made 10 times bigger, that must be 49.0. And we can go up here and we can just say the answer is 49, we don't need the 0.0 millimeter. So let's try another one. 112% of 400. Well, this time 112%, remember that's 112 out of 100. The decimal for that is 1.12 multiplied by 400. Okay, so I'm going to go over here and do 112 multiplied by 4. Now I may have to do long division for this one. I'm going to do 112 multiplied by 4. And I'm going to say 4 multiplied by 2 is 8. 4 multiplied by 10 is actually 40. And 4 multiplied by 100 is actually 400. So I've had to do a fair bit of work in already to get me here. The answer for this, therefore, if I add up the columns, must be 448. So I know 112 multiplied by 4 is 448. I want 1.12 times 400. So 1.12 multiplied by 4 is 100 times smaller. It must be 4.48. And 1.12 multiplied by 400, now I'm making the 4 100 times bigger, will make the answer back to 100 times bigger, basically what it was, 448. So therefore the answer up here we can write is 448 meters. And we've done another one. 79% of 360 kilograms. Pause and have a go. So this is the same as 0.79 multiplied by 360. Now I'm going to go over here and work out 79 multiplied by 36. Now unfortunately that means I'm going to have to do some long multiplication, but anyway, let's just do this. 79 multiplied by 36. 6 multiplied by 9 is equal to 54. 6 multiplied by not 7 but 70 is 420. 30 not 3 multiplied by 9 is equal to 270. And 30 multiplied by 70 is equal to 2100. So I'm going to add those up there. That's going to get me a 4 in that column. 7, add 2 is 9, add 5 is 14, put down the 4, carry the 1. 1 and 4 is 5, add 2 is 7, add 1 is 8, and 2 there. So therefore I know that 79 multiplied by 36 is equal to 2844. So I'm going to try and work out 0.79 multiplied by 36. That's 100 times smaller, so move the decimal point 2 places, 28.44. But I actually want 0.79 multiplied by 360, so I need to make the answer 10 times bigger than what I've got here. Move the decimal point to the right one space, it's 284.4. So I can go up here and I can actually say the answer is 284.4 kilograms. I want to stop there, and I know you might say this has been quite hard. It has. It might be easier other methods, but this is where this comes in really useful. Imagine someone asks us 15.67% of this number here, i.e. the decimal 0.1567 multiplied by 624.38. We will be allowed on our test papers and in our textbooks and homeworks to use a calculator for that type of thing. And all of a sudden, once you're in calculator mode and you're allowed to use calculators, this is just that number times that number is our answer. And that is what we will be doing in the next video. So as long as we're good at converting our percentages to decimals, we're ready to rock for that one. Thanks for watching.